Hey, this is Ross Payton with Role Playing Public Radio. This is RPPR episode 147, Snippets of Adventure, where we're talking about Snippets of Adventure, a new bonus podcast put out by the Mix Six, and I'm very lucky to get the Mix Six hosts. They're very busy these days. Caleb and Spencer. You know, I'm glad you could fit a small hole in your schedule to fit me in there.
Yeah, well, we don't record anything else ever, so it's easy just to hey, I'm not doing anything. Yeah, you're welcome, frankly, Ross.
Okay.
You did say we had to do this before we could record the other show.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Also the blackmail.
Yeah, the blackmail's
So, this episode, we've been, for the last a while now, like months, I was too lazy to look up the actual date when we started posting these, but we've started introducing Spencer, who is new to RPGs, to the world of RPGs through Caleb running a game, an old school hack fantasy RPG system, and it's just been me and him playing. We've been posting short little episodes as part of the Mix Six Patreon.
It's been a slow burn rather than the RPPR usual blood in policy.
Yeah, we're experimenting. We're instead of
not assaulting the new players with the newest GM and the newest system that no one has tried ever before.
So we've been doing pretty well in that. I've been having a lot of fun with that. And we're going to post some of these, the first season, to YouTube. By the time this episode goes up, we'll have the first couple of episodes on YouTube, so you can listen to it and get a sense of what it's like. And if you like it, join the Mix Six Patreon and get access to the rest of them. Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, and Spencer's journey into role-playing.
Really, I don't want to say that it'll be the Great American Novel, but it'll be the most introspective thing you listen to in the 10 minutes while I'm talking. So,
what? Damn.
Yeah.
Bold claims.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know, there actually is a new genre of fiction called lit RPG, which is about, like, what if MMO, but real? And there's enough novels like that it's become a genre.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
yeah.
I learned something today.
Anyways, before we get into that, we have some news. First off, all three of us are going to conventions in November, the same weekend, on opposite ends of the country.
Not the same convention.
And not the same convention. I am going...
But it's only two conventions. We're not going to three separate conventions.
Right.
We're going to two conventions.
Two conventions.
But the three of us are being split.
This has turned into like
unevenly
a word problem.
across.
Fuck this.
Spencer is going
I did not know
east.
RPPR was about math.
Going east.
I am leaving.
600 miles per hour in an aeroplane. And the Badger is at the intersection, blah, blah, blah. Anyways.
Wait, it's a badger?
Well, yeah.
I kind of want you to finish the problem now. I know it was just a bit, but the narrative of this is just, I want to know what happened.
Solved with a barometer.
All right.
Anyways, I'm going to PatraCon, which is actually more of a conference than a convention. It is something put on by Patreon, the company, for Patreon creators, and it's a 2-day selection of workshops, seminars, and panels. Workshops.
Ross is special.
Yeah, I'm special.
Mm-hmm.
It was invitation only.
Man.
Yeah.
I hope you get like a members only jacket.
Oh,
Patreon.
Man. I probably at least get a badge and a lanyard, and everything.
I would think.
Yeah,
right.
Probably some Patreon
For
swag.
security purposes.
I still have a stack of the magnets that they sent me to give out at Gen Con, because 2 years ago I ran a Patreon a panel on how to do Patreon. Mm-hmm. They said, here, we'll send you a bunch of stuff to give out to people, and include this big stack of these Patreon logo magnet. Yeah, that one.
Like that one, yeah.
And they've changed the logo since then, so they're obsolete. And I just have the stack of these useless refrigerator magnets now. Anyways, so probably get some more stuff like that.
Yeah, we could design a game around them.
Yeah, we could. Because that's something I do, apparently.
Yeah.
Is design things around impulse buys. So now I'm kind of thinking of ideas. Anyways, so we're going there. I don't know if I'll be able to record anything for the podcast. I think they're going to be recording everything anyway, putting it up on YouTube. So, but it looks very interesting. I'll talk about it when I get back. I'm looking forward to it. And I'll be in LA for those 2 days. So maybe if you're an RPPR fan, in LA, post to the Facebook groups or in the comments, and maybe we could do some sort of meetup after it, because it's only like from 9 to 5 every day. So I don't know what I'm doing after that. So, but anyways, you guys are going to Metatopia, which is a place I want to go to as well. And I wish it was literally not the one weekend of the year that.
Yeah, the timing is shit for sure.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about Metatopia.
So Metatopia is often compared to more of a conference than a convention, and seeing the seminar lineup, it appears to be the
Makes
case.
complete sense.
So it's in Morristown, New Jersey. from the I think it's the 2nd to the 5th.
Yep.
Yeah, PatreCon's November 3rd and 4th, so yeah. Same.
So we will be there, Spencer and I, playtesting our new card game, Party Foul, a game about drunk ducks. And we are going to playtest other people's games and meet fellow designers. And I'm going to learn about how card games are made, hopefully. And we're going to hopefully get nothing but positive feedback from our playtests and not have to change anything because the game is perfect as it is and requires no more work for us.
And Milton
then,
Bradley himself comes in and pays you
in a
$1 million.
top hat carried on his palanquin, and he just buys our game, and we just go home conquering heroes.
We just make more Mix 6 after that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I was told that's how Metatopia works. Now, I've never actually attended, so we'll see what happens. But I have no reason to disbelieve anyone. I mean, it looks great.
Importantly, playtesting, like it seems like the convention officially starts with like a kickoff mixer Thursday afternoon, evening, and then playtesting and panels are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But we're getting out there Wednesday night because we're prepared AF.
Yes.
And so Thursday day, we're going to have some time to like hang out in New Jersey, which... And so what we're looking for, if any of you are in the area or will be at Meta, and maybe you are looking for something to do on Thursday, Caleb and I would be happy to find you at a local watering hole and buy some beers while we play tested Party Foul. If anybody's interested, feel free to message us or post in the comments on Party Foul the Game on Facebook.
Yeah.
Or you can check us out on Twitter at Party Foul Game.
Yeah.
And you can DM us or just like tag us there if you're looking for playtest opportunities. We're trying to get as much feedback as we can. And frankly, meet as many cool people as we can because, you know, I'm clearly the novice here.
Yeah, and we need playtest comments from everyone, not just hoity-toity
Milton Bradley.
Milton Bradley with his silver spoon.
His butlers.
Player token. Yeah.
And Party Foul the artwork is being done by none other than Casey Green.
Motherfucking Casey Green.
And so there's a Facebook page already with some artwork on it.
Yep.
You guys already have
You'll
a Twitter
find some of the
account.
character
Ducks
designs
are
and the logo.
drunk and adorable.
Yep.
But also like you can criticize them. They're also too drunk. Like they're adorable and they're cute. But at the same time,
they're
you're like,
flawed.
at the same time, you want to be like, get your life
They're
together.
real.
Get your life together, Duck.
Yeah.
It's really complex.
They're relatable.
Yes.
You'll also be able to identify Caleb and I walking around Meta because we're going to coordinate clothing, which is not at all adorable.
Yeah, that's not at all weird.
We'll have-
I'm sure everyone else is going to be doing that too.
That's actually really common for Chinese families when they go out. I've seen literally over a dozen of them all wearing the same outfit when they're going on vacation, like at airports.
Right, so Caleb and I will be the resident Chinese family at Metatopia. We'll be wearing Mixed 6 shirts one day, Party Foul shirts one day, and Red Market shirts one day. So if you're interested about any of this stuff or want to get involved in any other ways with Party Foul or the Mixed 6, just look for those
We are
shirts.
the guys. We are the grown men in matching clothing. We're those guys.
We're also going to do choreographed dances at set intervals in the middle
a lot of
major
electric
spaces.
slide.
Right,
Yeah.
so...
The mixer's going to be torn up. We're going to really
you're welcome in advance.
ourselves down.
I
I don't know what a game design mixer is going to be like. I mean, I think I almost certainly know what a game design mixer is going to be like. Like, it's going to be a lot of awkward, like, hey, and then like some games, and that's going to be pretty much it. I kind of wanted to go in like
Jets
one
and
of
the
two
Sharks?
directions. I want it to be like name tag corporate conference, like everyone's in suits and we're not. It's professional as hell, or just like Caligula, just like really messed up game designers, after dark.
So you're hoping that it's kicked out, that everyone's kicked out of the hotel. At the end of the
a
first
gamer
day.
exclusion zone, if you will, because that happened to us one time. So we'll see how it is. We'll have a segment on a Mix 6 about how things.
Oh,
went
yeah,
down,
we'll
so.
report.
I'll put links to the Facebook page, a Twitter account for Party Foul, so you can check that out.
We will also be recording panels and whatnot.
Yes.
And perhaps play tests. But some of them that I'm going to are like taxes for the game designer. So we may not post everything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, everything that gets recorded, I'll put at least up as a bonus on the Patreon.
Sure.
Speaking of which, we do have the RPPR Patreon. I've been posting a bonus episode from the Palladium Poisoning. I have one more bonus episode I'll put up from Palladium Poisoning. I think next episode we're going to be discussing, because I put a poll up, which Riffs book do you want us to suffer through next? And it was Riffs Africa, which is about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in Riffs, which is, I've told you too much as it is, Spencer. Please don't
I wonder
for
how
our hobbies.
racist that book's going to be.
No, we used it. We used game systems as a rating system on the Mix 6 at some point in recording.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, Riffs was 1 for you.
Yeah, hard 1.
Which would make it, for those of you that don't listen to the Mix 6, we rate and review 6 beers throughout the episode. We use a rotating category system to determine if that beer is a 5, the best beer you've ever had, or a 1, the worst beer you've ever had. And Caleb named Riffs, I believe, in that episode as a 1 in terms of
And
beers.
I've only had over 4 beers in my entire life that were comparable to Riffs. All of which poison.
That's it.
So
I just want to give a shout out to Spencer for that very professional recitation of
Thank
the
you.
Mix 6 system. You've done it so many
I was
times.
gonna say, it's as if we've done that like 25 or 26 other times.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, actually, Riffs Africa is not the most racist Riffs book, so that's probably Spirit West.
Well, let's not start a contest or anything.
Because again, it's like
Really, we're all losers here.
Yeah.
Let's do this race to the
Riffs
bottom.
Africa is about fighting the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and a third of the book is the stats for those monsters.
Oh, well.
Yeah. And it shows how bad of a system it is because they're unkillable, basically.
Among other things.
Among other things. So let's see. Oh yeah. Also, finally, Goblin, a fantasy comedy RPG, is currently on Kickstarter. It's being put out by the people from the Drunken Ugly, fellow RPG podcaster and friend to RPPR.
Oh, I didn't know that was their game.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Their newest member, Greg Predmore, who I've interviewed, and the interview should be the episode immediately preceding this one. I talked to him about it. It's basically fantasy goblins. You know, they're all short, idiotic, nearly indestructible. All the wizards and elves and everyone else get sick of them, and they send them to Earth. Only it's a post-apocalyptic Earth. So imagine basically the Three Stooges, but they're short and green, and they're in Mad Max world. So,
All right.
Yeah, and that's the premise of the game.
Cool.
One of the classes of the goblins is the Shootomancer. They're the only ones who know how to reload guns. So that's the kind of class powers you get with the various goblins. So we've done one play test that's on RPPR Actual Play. It was quite fun. So anyways, I think that's it with the news.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Snippets of Adventure.
Let's fucking do it.
I think Snippets of Adventure originally was your idea, Caleb, or... in terms of your structure.
That was like 100 beers ago. So
Literally.
let's not get stuck on dates or names or events
or history.
or none of that
Chronology,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, but narratively, right?
yeah.
If we were to say, let's not worry about dates. So the whole premise here, and I'll kind of intro this a little bit because it was largely exclusively for my benefit. So like I'm
I think the original name of that segment are
the education of Spencer
the
Harris.
education of Spencer.
Yeah, I
Harris.
think that's right.
Yeah.
Until I didn't want to
we
completely
started this-
screw up your SEO at work, where people are like, "Who's this Spencer Harris guy?"
the
And
hell?
it's just goblins and orcs.
Although for personal branding later, we should totally rename Snippets of Adventure to the education of Spencer Harris. Yeah. So anyways, I was the odd person out here. I hadn't done really any RPGs. In fact, the only experience I had was playing a round of Red Markets. So the first thing I ever did was play a Red Markets one shot, which I don't know.
So
if
we
it's-
were starting in the negative,
Right.
Is what
Whoa, come on.
right, in the red.
Yeah.
yeah, so to speak.
Awesome point. And so, so anyways, part of this was about like kind of getting me integrated into the world so that I could understand the vocabulary more. But it was also just like a cool bit to be able to bring, really what is the genesis of all of this, which is, the role-playing world, into this thing that we're doing, which is kind of tangentially tied to a lot of those people. And that was kind of the origin, I guess, of Snippets of Adventure. And we're 11 or 12 episodes deep now. I don't know.
12, I think.
yeah.
Damn.
I don't know if episode
They're not
12
posted yet,
Yeah. 12 hasn't been posted yet.
Okay.
Because after 12, we need to record more.
Yeah, we're wrapping up season 1.
So, yeah, and we, so obviously fantasy was kind of the genre because that's the biggest one in role-playing games.
For some reason, we decided that is where everyone starts.
Well, it kind of is.
Yeah,
like,
I know. I don't know why that's a thing, but that's the thing.
it's Dungeons and Dragons. That's why.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I know it's a first mover advantage,
Yeah.
but it's still like you throw people into that pool.
But yeah, Caleb, you decided to use old school hack instead of Dungeon World or Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
And so, yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about old school hack? I know we've done one actual play of it on our podcast years ago, but for the other listeners who aren't familiar with it, that particular system, what are some of the differences between?
So Old School Hack is a great little OSR system that does not take itself too seriously, as some OSR can when it gets trapped in purple prose about dragons and stops talking about like getting back to the roots of go and dungeon, kill stuff, steal things. And it came out in 2014.
It was I think
2013, 2014.
Somewhere in that region. Again, chronology.
Yeah.
It's a great game. To my mind,
it's free, by the way.
It's free. It's never been published anywhere, and so
just
I kind of wanted to give it attention.
Yeah,
it's a great little system. I use at any given point about half to 25% of it, and it's not because it's bad, but because I am trying to do something a little bit different with Snippets of Adventure, and I didn't want to read in comments about how I got the rules wrong. And had I done another system, that's all the comments would be. And so you don't know this system, or most of you don't. And so the majority of people have shut up. Now, when people hear this, they will then rush to learn the system so that they then may go back and enter internet comments about how I've used the rules wrong. But then I've turned you on to a great RPG that deserves more attention. It's a win-win. It's a trap, really. Yeah. All roads lead to my victory here. That was the plan. So
Xanadu, or not Xanadu, Xanatos Gambit.
Okay. All right.
That's on TV Tropes. You haven't heard of that?
No.
Okay. I'm not going to go into it.
Thank you.
So
the Xanadu Gambit.
Xanatos.
No, it's Xanadu now.
No. Yeah, we just all wind up roller disking. Yeah. So, anyways, so Spencer, I was the other player for this. I am the other player for this, and we went through character creation and then sort of started just dive right into it. What are your sort of initial impressions of it, or like?
So of just like role playing in general,
not character creation
not old school hack.
and the old thing.
So it was it's been a really fun experience. I've totally enjoyed it, even though it's not something I thought I would get into. I think that for me, I've probably struggled with it more than I've thought about what's gone well. But I'm also kind of in this weird space where I don't really also know to define what's going well and not going well, because so much of it is very fluid and dynamic, kind of on its face. And so it's been a really interesting exercise. As I sat down to kind of record things that I knew I wanted to discuss today, it's helped me kind of reflect on, here are things that I think I could do better. Here are things that I think I would change moving forward if I played more role-playing games. And I will, because we're going to do a second season of Snippets of Adventure, hopefully many more seasons of Snippets of Adventure. And at some point, I'd even like to run a game, just to kind of like sit on the other side of the table, proverbially, and figure out what that process is like. But it has, and we can get into this more in depth, Ross, I'll kind of let you lead the conversation. It has definitely like kind of struck at some core principles I have in terms of like playing games and decision making, and it has challenged me in some interesting ways. So it's been a really cool kind of like really what's the good word here? Stretching, expanding experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving outside your comfort zone a little, I guess.
A lot of that. In fact,
really?
in the notes that I put together, outside of my comfort zone is probably a phrase that shows up like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But in a good way.
Yeah, very good way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess
it's just that phrase over and over again.
That's right.
And an entire notebook.
It is not unlike all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Did you recreated the Scream and ASCII character?
His hand just writes that as we play.
Yeah. Which, it's
sort of automatically.
Well, Spencer, you should know one of the first things, one of the many story traditions of role playing gamers is the twofold thing. One is, let me tell about your character, and then obviously everyone else's reaction is like, oh God, he's going to tell me about his character. But we really do want to hear about your character.
Yeah. So Lazy Assed Knight,
Yeah.
Who is on
That's an ED on the ass.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Acid. Lazy Acid
To be
Knight.
clear, in character creation, we started screwing up at the name box because neither character actually developed a name so much as a title. So to let you know how great the listening is,
right.
The hijinks start early is what we're saying.
So when you make your rules objections to Caleb, start there. Naming.
Yeah.
Even though it was us who did it.
Well, yeah. Well, but yeah, but I feel like as the GM, you should have like kind of sculptured that a little
he's
bit.
getting it so bad. When the players fuck up, you blame the GM.
Yeah.
Like that's a basic move in
Yeah.
RPGs. He's
Yeah.
learned so much.
That's all I've learned, actually.
I'm so proud.
It just says outside my comfort zone 11 times, and then Caleb fucked up. Those are all of them. So covered above. Lazy Assed Knight is on a quest A to solve the objective in Snippets of Adventure, which is to put on CritterCon featuring Kenneth Bark. But his kind of like...
Which is a conference, not a convention.
That's exactly right, which is important.
We're a lot of
academic
conferences. Yeah.
And then kind of the more transcendent purpose for Lazy Assed Knight, though, is to remove Lazy Assed from his name. So he's been kind of besmirched by his family, and there are some deep-seated trauma issues there that make him feel like his parents aren't good enough. And so in order to cover those up, he's both become kind of a wizard-like character who needs a thick outer shell, so he very literally wears heavy male armor, despite his prowess for ranged magical combat.
So he's a wizard who wears plate mail.
That's right. I believe the technical term in the game is bitchin' set of plates. He has a bitchin' set of plates.
Yes. Again, another great part about Old School Hack.
Right.
Does not take itself too serious.
The left ass cheek of which has been removed at some point.
We did trade it at one point.
We traded it so that we could receive some vital piece of
So
information.
now he's a
I think.
half-assed knight.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So I also love that either there isn't a rule that says a wizard cannot play full plate mail, or I did not care to keep looking through the packet and find it.
Right.
So we just went with it.
Actually,
why
yeah.
not?
Other than a few jokes made about it, like, there was never any objection here. And
Yeah.
so, having said that, he's cast very few actual effective spells, and used the plate armor really only once or twice now through 11 or 12 episodes. Hasn't mattered.
Yeah, there's been
But that's okay.
Not big on combat.
Because if it needed to work, it'd be there. Both the casting ability and the bitch and set of plates.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not worried about that.
Okay. So did after that first episode, I mean, like, what was your idea of what role-playing was before that first episode and then after? Like, did anything sort of change? Or?
Yeah, well, probably a little bit. I mean, I think, and I don't want to ostracize myself from the likely listeners of role-playing public radio, but I mean, I do think that some of my assumptions about what role-playing was before had kind of been, like, made more realistic or buttressed by the fact that before I was doing the podcast stuff, I was still like pretty good friends with all of you guys, via Caleb. And so I'd listen to some RPPR actual plays, I've been right. Cause I'm committed. I'm like super committed to, being a good friend. And I'd been friends with Caleb for years. So we talked through Red Markets and I kind of knew it was up and I'd played the game a little bit. So some of the things that I think people might stereotypically believe about role-playing games, I'd already tweaked a little bit in my brain. Having said that, after the first game, I think that I was really kind of enlightened to the probably in this case intentional lack of structure around the game, and that was jarring for me. You know what I mean? And I've talked about this a little bit on the Mixed Six in the past, but the idea that you're supposed to kind of embrace an intentional lack of structure in that setting in some instances is really uncomfortable for me. And so that's one of the things that really kind of pushed me outside my comfort zone. And so I remember after that first session of recording, I was struck by having to really rethink how I approached games as a category of things in my mind.
Okay.
I recall you being a little off-put that when you burned a mugger alive,
Right.
that the other mugger was terrified of you, and you felt a little bad about burning that person alive.
Yeah.
It seemed like you sort of approached it like it's a video game. That's a character. I'm
Right.
supposed to shoot it.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And the sort of like response you can have in a reactive narrative thing with other people. It's
Right.
just like, holy shit, what? Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's
That was a lot. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? My thought was, well, wait a minute, I'm a wizard, and here's this guy
I done
standing
burn
in my
things
way.
with fireballs.
Yeah, fucking move out the way or get burnt.
Yeah.
And
burnt.
you burnt, and that guy didn't move out of the way, so you burnt. And then there was this whole. Not only that there was a response from the other character, but rather that action set in motion other actions that I didn't see coming. You know what I mean? There was a moment in my brain where I was like, fuck, I really need to start thinking more critically about the fact that my actions have like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I came to burn shit and wear plates, and now like people seem put off by that. Fuck, this is a fucked up world, Caleb. Yeah, no, that's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of new players, not just you, but like they have like the idea of agency or like having this much agency in a game is kind of daunting, especially if the GM, like there are GMs who do run it like video games where they're just, the consequences of violence are never really addressed.
Right.
Caleb's certainly not that kind of GM.
No, it was quick and dirty.
But no, Sarah, when she first started playing Better Angels, just wanted to murder things. Her whole character is the concept of murder.
No, it makes sense, right? I mean, it's shortest line between problem and solving a problem.
Yeah, and her lack of agency eventually morphed into sort of like a narrative befuddlement. And like general like off-puttedness, and her character was like a lengthy sigh of a human being, and it ended up being great for the thing. But she was sort of off-put by consequences. Not so much as your character after you radiated a brewery for reasons beyond all of us.
Which I specifically said was a bad idea, and then I did it.
Right. So he was reflective about...
Well, that's... forgives everything.
Yeah. No, well, it was because I wanted this to be interesting in the game. I think there is this sort of idea is like in role playing you have to understand, your game piece, your character. You don't have to necessarily optimize. You one thing about role playing games
in the world of RPGs, that's sort of like the last panel on the like transcendent mind meme is fucking up on purpose because it makes a better story.
Yeah,
sure.
That is where you sort of have arrived in the RPG space. It's like, well, it's my character, but it's not competitive. We're just telling a crazy story. So what if my character did this? Poorly, because that would create more conflict.
I mean, there are, as long as it doesn't interfere with the agency of other players.
Exactly.
There is also the relationship between players,
right?
And that's sort of an interesting,
it is
ongoing issue. So
that's like one of the things that I struggled with the most. I think it was kind of like not just embracing, but almost intentionally exploring the. Like the ambiguity of the whole format. And so, that kind of like struck me in two ways. One was the setting. I would like...
Such as it were.
Right. Well, but like, so,
Well, we all know the kind of D&D generic fantasy setting, yeah.
But Caleb would functionally set a premise, probably in some instances a trap, I guess. And, my immediate mode is like, oh, we'll just figure out how to fucking solve the problem. And then I would hear you ask something or hear you want to interact with the thing that I'd not thought of. And I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing, Ross? Like, how I'm trying to solve a problem over here.
Can you give me an example?
Fuck. God, I wrote a couple of good examples down.
Do you mean like me, like in the first episode? I know I talked to the rats. Was that like one?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, for sure. That's a good example. Yeah. And here I am, like trying to figure out like.
But you didn't like interrogate the rats. It was like, hey, what's up?
Right. No, that's right. Exactly. Right. It's like, it's like, what if I stop for a second and I imagined over here that this whole other world exists where there's not a question of can I or can't I, it's should I or shouldn't I?
Yeah.
And the answer seems to be always yes, I should.
Yeah.
And so exploring that, was kind of interesting for me, and it's something that threw me off as we were like talking through things. And it wasn't really until maybe the last episode we recorded, I don't totally remember at this point, but we'd walked up to a castle and you said something like, as you approach a gate, they hear you talking about something. And Ross and I just started talking about like the structure of sewer systems and road width. And that was the first time that I felt like, oh yeah, well now I'm going to do this. And so this thing which seemed like tangential.
And then that became the basic structure of the sewer system, right. The road width in the city in which.
Yeah, I mentioned the Mammoth Lords visiting the city, and then like that turned into the whole thing about the logistical.
That's the magic of not writing anything ahead.
But like, what's interesting for me in that moment is like that was the first time where some of the stuff that seemed like tangential and gratuitously exploratory that you'd done earlier in the game, I was like, oh no, that's part of the fucking game here, is to explore this kind of stuff. And the only analog I have is like when I got Arkham VR, the Batman VR game. It wasn't until I'd played through it like the second or third time that when I went down into the Batcave, I just stood in the Batcave and I just fucking looked around for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And that's just not how I think about games. They're objective solving. And so getting back to this notion of the relationship between the characters, it was so fascinating seeing the way that you approached things. that it really got me thinking. And so at some point, I think I even kind of noted in one of the episodes that I'd not really explored the depth of character in a way that you clearly had, this kind of like inquisitive, student of one school, now another, who was genuinely interested in like learning about other things and like talking to animals because that's a skill that you learn for some fucking reason. And like, that for me was a real, like kind of green light in my brain to like stop thinking about just solving the problem and start thinking that maybe the problem is not the problem, but there are a whole host of opportunities here.
Yeah.
And that you need to kind of like explore those creatively. So yeah, I mean, that was a big shift for me.
Okay.
Side quest all the way down.
Yeah, no, well, and the reason why I was like talking to the rats in the first thing is another story tradition for gamers is that whatever I have is the hammer, and everything else has to be a nail. Then,
yeah.
So like if my character can talk to animals, then logically every problem has to be solved by talking to animals.
Right, exactly.
You do try and float things very frequently with your puppets.
I really did try to float a lot of stuff, mostly as a manner of impressing others.
Yeah,
not to actually do anything with the things, but to show off that I could. It was interesting for me, though. I'm thinking back. You've asked for examples about when this seemed odd for me. Yeah, absolutely. So, in one episode, we're forced to complete 2 of the 3 squirrel challenges. I believe
the squirrel's price.
The squirrel's price. Yeah,
yes.
I believe in high nuttin'. I could have the setting wrong.
That's it. It's a very serious game.
Right. And for me, we get a quick overview of the 3 challenges, 2 of which we have to complete, and it's like very clear which 2 are going to be easy and which one you've told us will be damn near impossible. And so I'm ready to like literally move, and here's Ross like interrogating you at length about each of the 3 challenges, right? And kind of like trying to go down these little branch paths. And I'm sitting here looking at him like I'm gonna fucking kill him. Like both as a character and maybe as a human. And then like it strikes me like, well, no, I mean that's that's kind of the purpose of this whole fucking thing. And that's just like an odd little shift that I had to make in my brain, that the objective of the game is not really the objective of the game in a traditional sense.
Yeah.
So it was a weird thing for me to encounter, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, and then you did the impossible one.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
then that was totally possible.
At that point, it's just like fucking lean in.
And then I made the third one. You didn't pick the impossible one.
Right.
Chaz is the best.
Yeah. Check out Chaz the Squirrel art on the Mixed 6, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah, now that you've had a more of a taste of role playing, do you think you would have made your character differently, or would you have?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
No, would have done a couple things differently. So if and when we play again, thing number 1 I want to do is I want to develop some character robustness, a character backstory that forces me to do something a little outside my comfort zone.
Nice.
And I don't know if that means like
maybe a name. You could start.
I could start with
an
name.
actual name.
Well, whatever. Lazy Ass Knight seemed to work well. But
I remember you saying that you were getting it from the Wu-Tang Clan sort of aesthetic.
Yeah, I used the Wu-Tang Clan generator to come up with my name. So it felt like a pretty big win. You're welcome. But like developing, I don't know that I'm ready to do something like a dialect or a voice. But maybe some experience or backstory or unique skill that significantly influences my play. Yeah, I think I would enjoy the game more if I would have been more intentionally focused on those kinds of things, which, you live and you learn. Second thing I'll do is explore the setting more. Kind of the Ross Payton approach to, what's over here, hypothetically.
I think it might help if we do something with a little more stringent as a rule system, which we might do next time. That might actually help inform role-playing more.
Sure.
Than the sort of
it might. I don't know.
amorphous thing that I currently have. I'm either probably, if I run another season, you might run another season, or Ross might run another season, I would probably do something either with more well-defined rules or even less rules. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Negate the nebulous space. It's either all good or not good.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I mean, characters are interesting characters to. I mean, an interesting character to role play as is different than necessarily like an interesting character in fiction.
Sure.
There's certain criteria. Like the main thing for role playing characters is that they have to be willing to work in a team to achieve some sort of thing, some sort of goal. Like that's kind of the standard premise to allow for the game to happen at all.
Yeah.
But then you kind of have to define yourself. So.
Though Snippets has basically turned into a buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
It's not so much an ensemble.
Yeah, it seems reasonable.
Yeah. We could vary cast members or something like that too. I think also it's also sort of like a lot of the times when I'm asking about the question is because there is, I'm sure you've noticed that there is sort of a sort of sensory bottleneck in that the only things you know about the world are what Caleb tells you.
Right, exactly.
Unless you ask him, like
there's some tunnel vision.
There is some tunnel vision, so you kind of have to understand.
Or unless you say something and that becomes part of the world.
Yeah, but we don't know.
You don't know what that's going to be.
Yeah, I think that's the trick.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I could make it's reasonable to assume that there would be rats in a dirty alley, for example. But that doesn't. Maybe Caleb says, "Oh, well, there's a rat-eating monster that they don't know about and is about to ambush them."
Yeah,
and so you can say there are no rats, and we're like, "Well, that's weird." And then that either becomes a challenge or it's incidental,
right?
And that's sort of part of the player's toolkit is to like understand what's in the world and what's not in the world.
Sure. Which is something I just didn't do very well, partially because I think I was unwilling or a little paralyzed by the idea of exploring the limits of the world. You know what I mean? And so moving forward, I would like to do that more.
I think you did a lot better than you think you did. The next episode, you were, working the intricacies of Hawk Lady politics. Just like,
yeah.
You really leaned into that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't disparage yourself.
Yeah, how do you think you've been doing as a player?
I don't know, and that's one of the things I was kind of wondering about as I was putting together these kind of retrospective notes. Like, I don't know.
Oh, you're fine.
Well, yeah. Well, and that's okay. Fine's
You're probably better than most because you'll talk in character sometimes.
Yeah.
You're beyond the my character does this
right
side of things. You have said I before, which
Yeah.
is sort of the key to it. Yeah.
Well, that seems important,
Yeah.
and I definitely have gotten my pronoun usage right, I think.
Yeah, I like our little banters or our conversations between various scenes have been really good.
Seemed good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just struck by, I don't know. You know what I mean? I just don't know how to evaluate good or bad. But that's weird. This was something I was thinking
Well, I've had fun. Caleb's had fun. Did you have fun?
Yes, I've had a lot of fun.
I think.
Do you want constructive criticism?
No. Okay. Yeah. No, I do. Actually, no, I'm like very curious because this is something I was thinking about in the shower this morning. I don't know if I've done a good job, but that doesn't mean that I don't feel like I couldn't say, but I think you've done a very good job or you've done a very good job, which is to say, I do think there is a way to evaluate the quality of gameplay here. Yeah. I just don't know what it is in terms of what I've done.
You don't metagame,
right,
which is great because that's a really bad habit. So, I mean, you don't know what I'm going to do because we haven't played together before. But eventually, like, people know my personality and are like, oh, well, we're not going to fucking do that. That's a trap.
Right.
Like, that asshole. And that's all Ross does.
I mean, I think I could guess, like, there are two options and one's capitalist and one's Marxist. So I guess I could just choose the Marxist one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's metagame. Yeah. You don't do that, but you're so referential that sometimes, like, actually not sometimes, pretty frequently, you refer to stuff in the modern world, as if you are lazy ass dice. So, like, you talk about stuff, and occasionally it's an hilarious joke, like Birds by Dre. But sometimes it's just like, but I do like how producer Elfname has sort of made that a running gag.
What are those?
Yeah, what is that thing you just said? And now you have to think of an explanation for it.
That's the struggle.
So.
No, I know. These are just the weird things, that I totally. That's
the only thing I've noticed, though. Otherwise, you're pretty great at
No, it's been real brutal.
You engage, you're off your phone,
Yeah. Not on my phone.
Ask questions, all that stuff.
I didn't know that was the only standard for success.
It is an RPPR.
I feel like I've been killing that. Yeah.
Just to be clear. The hurdle's pretty low.
Yeah.
Okay, nailed it.
You have blown it away.
All right.
I think you've done quite well as a player. I mean, the main criteria for me, of course, is that everybody at the table had fun,
right,
and that there weren't any like hugely awkward scenes or anything like that. Which, I mean, I remember years and years.
Oh, there were awkward scenes, but they were hilarious.
Well,
when you sang the entirety of "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time,"
"Hit Me, Birdie, One More Time,"
"Hit Me, Birdie, One More Time,"
yeah,
which was excellent.
It was a tough move.
It
takes years to work up to your first in-game song.
You know what? Though?
You're light years ahead. Like,
I was thinking about that a lot, and I actually put it in some notes here. The vulnerability of the whole bit for me was not in the am I making the right tactical move or not. Mm-hmm. It was like, am I okay knowing that I'm about to sing a Britney Spears parody song on the microphone?
And the answer was yes.
Yeah.
And it was like episode 3. That's amazing.
Really leaned into the alcohol before that one, so it was totally fine.
Yeah.
Felt regular.
Also helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Solid RPG advice. Get good and rest
just
before you start.
Just to go back to a little bit earlier about the sensory thing. I just remembered a game I recently ran. There's a great example of that where it was a modern day setting. The players were in the woods guarding a corpse that they couldn't move for reasons, and they heard people calling out. It was this farmer and his son looking for their lost dog. But the players are already suspicious that shady things are going on, and then the players just immediately deduced that they were actually shape-shifting monsters because they were out in the dark, and they only heard them just as they were approaching. They didn't hear them from far away, and they weren't carrying flashlights. And so, by not mentioning certain things, they deduced that there were not what they were.
Right.
So that's the kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
This is sort of like one of the problem-solving things about it.
The Agatha Christie-like investigation.
Yeah,
which I just didn't have going on. Right?
Yeah,
It's just not what I was thinking.
Well, I mean, different RPGs have emphasized different things.
Sure.
Like, there's obviously tactical combat in some RPGs, mystery / puzzle solving,
Right.
Banter and conversation, and just sort of, world building.
Yeah.
And as what we're dealing. Like, what kind of things have you enjoyed the most and the least in this? Like, what kind, if you were to categorize them as
banter the most, both between you and I, kind of like in the game, but also with Caleb, kind of on like the ridiculousness of the things that are occurring in the game, which are largely your fault.
Yeah,
I do understand that bit. Have also,
and it seems like you enjoy that, which is why I emphasize that more than like go kill thing,
right?
Steal thing stuff
for sure.
Yeah.
Also, just really enjoyed the dice rolling. I mean, I enjoy the make a decision, see if it works. I mean, I like that, right? The instant feedback, the kind of like quick problem solving and adaptation. That shit's been a lot of fun for me. Stuff that I've enjoyed the least, stuff that I struggled with. Most of that I think I've already covered. Not understanding's the wrong word. Not exploring enough. Kind of like the depth of character, the depth of the setting, the options which are available.
I made you chug a Rattler that one time.
You did. You really, which I enjoyed because I really like Rattler, and it seemed to fit in the theme.
So
caught me a little off guard. Right. I'd also already had a couple of beers, so that felt like cruel.
Yeah.
No, I mean
that's what it is to be the GM,
right?
Which
right.
You'll know as you evolve.
On the whole, I would say that I've actually really enjoyed it. Not too many things that I haven't enjoyed, and what I haven't have enjoyed has not been a function of the game that you've drafted or your play, Ross. It's largely been me also not being able to like fully sit down and just embrace it because the whole time I'm going, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing here? You know what I mean?
Have you gotten more relaxed and calm about this over time? Or are you still having
it ebbs and flows is what I've noticed.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like that the hit me birdie one more time thing, like totally in the moment, just feeling it, having a blast. 2 episodes later or whatever, I was sitting there the whole time kind of like in the back of my head going like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Not like, what am I doing sitting at this table playing an RPG or like, what am I doing in life? But like,
how did it come to this?
Right. Is this, I'm sorry,
assholes in
Mom.
front of
But more like, man, what the fuck are we trying to accomplish here? And like, why aren't we just running down this path full speed ahead?
Yeah,
trying to solve this problem.
That tends to happen in any campaign of like
Right.
if it's a one shot where it's like there's a clear goal.
Yeah.
That's easy. But anytime when you have like multiple play sessions over an extended period of
Sure,
time,
yeah.
there's this kind of in the middle like what was the point again? Yeah,
Right. Well, and am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing as a player and as a character? You know what I mean?
Well, I was trying to do something pretty specific with the first season of Snippets. Do you think it would help, like, in terms of that exploratory thing, if it wasn't all whackety schmackety do like Snippets is? I know the tone is pretty.
I don't know that
pretty farcical.
I don't think that it would help. I mean, I think that's part of the. Maybe it would help if I wasn't being so like obvious and open to the fact that like I need to explore more.
Okay.
But like now I think that an overly constrained setting might undermine my
I
ability.
don't necessarily mean constrained, but like I don't know, like gravitas. I've been known to run a dark game or two, and not that that's what we would do necessarily in Snippets too.
Right.
But like I could sort of mix it up and not have it be as I don't know, cartoonish.
I kind of like the tone.
Okay,
I mean, I thought the
and
tone,
I'm not changing the tone of Snippets currently, but like if we run a different game system or something.
I mean, you're certainly welcome to. I think it'd be good. I would like to explore a variety of different systems and tones and settings. But I kind of think, especially given the audience for the Mixed Six, which I think is probably a little less RPG heavy.
Yes.
I think that keeping the lighter tone just makes some sense, given who we're playing for. But I liked the lightness of all of that, and I think that had I been more aware of and more intentional about the ability to explore in that setting, I really could have gotten more out of it.
All right. Well, no Delta Green for season 2.
Right.
Damn it. Right. You heard it here first.
That's sort of horror mystery. That was actually the game I mentioned earlier, the one
Right.
before us. What genre or type of setting would you like to explore?
I think that it would be interesting to explore the science fiction setting.
Science fiction?
Okay. I would jump in on that. I would definitely do the mystery puzzle solver. That sounds like a fun thing. I'm pretty open on setting, I got to be honest.
Okay.
I don't...
Melissa has been running and has the second scenario ready. I'll have to get her to run you guys.
I saw the board the other night.
The Brighton Lodge, a Agatha Christie style mystery.
We should both play in that.
Yeah. No, I played in it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Instead of sanity checks, you had to make sensibility checks if you're going to do something sort of untoward, like read a woman's journal or something like that. Yeah.
I do declare.
It was amazing. So that would be great. I don't know if she has to run a whole campaign of that, but
I think she does. She's been asking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When we could all find time.
Okay.
Snippet season 2.
Yeah.
Melissa, get on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are there any other things we haven't addressed yet?
No, I don't think so. I say that before I start talking.
Because you did have the notes aside from the
I did have the notes.
Screams.
Other than that, I think that it was a really cool experience. I'm glad we did it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I would like
and
to
we'll continue to do it.
We'll continue to do it, yeah. Would like to do more of it, and at this point would like to kind of take a more robust approach at the whole thing. You know what I mean? Not just the 5-minute put your name into the Wu-Tang Clan name generator, sit down and start rolling dice, but kind of like a more thorough, mature approach to the whole thing. Not to say that the tone needs to be more mature. In fact, I don't know that it should, but I would like to treat it more like an event. Moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did it the way we did it this first time, just so I could kind of figure out what
the irony is important the first time.
Absolutely,
you roll into it.
Right. But now I think that before I start, making grand claims about the nature of RPGs in existence, it would be pretty meaningful for me to actually play through a robust, coherent world in which we're trying to do things, whatever those things are.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that.
Yeah. Well, I'll show you some of the RPGs I have. I know for some science fiction, there's one game I've wanted to run for a while, Tales from the Loop. Which is kind of like a 1980s Stranger Things sort of themed game, but with robots instead of monsters.
I have been known to like Stranger Things and the 1980s.
Yeah.
Pretty into robots, too.
Or you could do like Little Fears or something.
Little Fears, that's similar.
Monsters is great.
Monsters and Other Childish Things, which I've written for, so we could do that.
Okay. Love all that. Pick one.
So if you have any questions or comments for Spencer, please post them in the comments.
Yeah.
Please be sure to check out the Mix 6 Patreon. If you like the first couple episodes that I put on YouTube as samples, you can get all of them. There's 12 and going to be 13. How many more do you think you...
I think we got at least 2 more.
2 more, so 14 episodes.
Damn.
So at half hour per, that's 7 hours.
Like good cable TV, there's a climax, but then you're like, oh no, that wasn't the real climax.
Damn.
And then there's another one.
Shit's about to get deep.
Yeah. It is about to get deep. So when we get back, we will have shout-outs and an active. And we're back, and I put in some music there. Spencer, any requests, any type of genre of music you want me to put in
Ross,
there?
I've done enough of this with you on the Mix 6 to know not to request any kind of editing, so I'm just going to let you
I do put in music. I do that.
Uh-huh.
So is there anything you want?
I think that some nice jazz.
Vaporwave?
Nope.
Vaporwave.
I've managed to come this far without having...
Here we go. That's why your first impulse was
I've
the
listened
right
to
one.
zero Vaporwave. Yeah, through all of this.
And keep that up.
But you said the word vaporwave.
I do, well, I mean, only tangentially there. Yeah.
All right. So I'll start with the first of our shout-outs, and that would be to the Pathfinder Adventure Guide. I got a nice review copy of it. I mentioned this Adventurer's Guide. I got this from Paizo as a review copy a while ago. This is a collection of different organizations that player characters can join or fight. Paizo is really knocking in the graphic design and writing department in terms of the quality. Like, everything is sort of like, here's stuff that GMs can use, here are plot hooks, here's a little summary of each organization, here's important people in it, it's got great art. They have a variety of them. There's evil organizations that you can fight, good organizations you can join, neutral ones. They even have one that has a lot of transgender characters. It's like for people who don't feel like their body belongs to them and want to change. And so it's they're very. There's just a lot of really good stuff if you want to run games in Pathfinder, in the Pathfinder setting.
Cool.
So if you wanted new bad guys or new prestige classes for your character in Pathfinder, I would recommend this. And they're really good with the graphic design, just like in terms of just how they, not just in terms of like how nice
Pathfinder doesn't make ugly books.
Well, it's also just how they organize information, because everything is really easy. Like the summary of each one is just like, hey, here's all the important information you need to know, and then you can sort of go, here it is, the Rivathon. Animus hardening personal struggles for spiritual growth. These are the ones that have a lot of transgender characters in it. It's a beautiful looking book. If you're using Pathfinder, I would recommend it. So, let's see here, Spencer. What is your first official shout out on here?
Shout out number one.
Yes.
So the shout out is really to two people, but it's about one thing. So this is what I do. I talk about and drink beer. So shout out to Andrew Baswell and Holly Hasenfrost. Hotel. Because some months ago, via the Mixed Six podcast, they introduced us to Prairie Artisan Ales. And in the intervening period, Springfield, Missouri has started to carry all of the Prairie Artisan Ales.
And it's all I drink now.
Yeah. They're out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and a shout out to two Prairie beers in particular. The Prairie Flare, which is their Goza, which is one of the most drinkable things I've ever had. Ross, you would really love it. It's a Goza, but rather than use lime, which a lot of the Gozas we've been drinking do, they use orange and coriander.
Interesting.
It is fucking delicious.
I really want to get one now.
And then the Vape Tricks, which is a beer that you turned me on to.
Cherry sour.
It's a cherry sour.
Delicious.
Another sour.
Yeah. And both are canned, which I really like drinking those kind of like lighter, low ABV beers out of cans. So shout out to Andrew Baswell and Holly Hasenfrost, Hotel, for what is really the ostensible reason for the shout out, turning me on to more good beer.
All right. Caleb, you had one?
I am listening to the Well Read podcast on the recommendation of Baz and Sarah and now Bill, and it is it's a cultural artifact. Let me tell you, it's not what I saw coming. So I don't know if you've seen the videos. Apparently, there's
it's RED, not
RED. Well Read, and they are three redneck comedians. They make Jeff Foxworthy sound like he went to Oxford, and they are all deeply woke and liberal as hell. But that has not changed their accents or their sense of propriety or anything of that. And it's just remarkably refreshing for me. Not in that, like, the commentary is particularly deep, but it's interesting to hear someone talk like I hear the majority of the people in my life talk and not be saying horrifically racist, sexist, ignorant shit all the time. As I said to Sarah when I first listened to it, had I known people like this in high school, I wouldn't have to have invented whatever the hell my accent is right now, because I wouldn't have felt the need to flee from their ideology using my very tongue to enhance the speed. It's pretty interesting. It's very funny. They talk to a lot of interesting people in the interviews. A lot of the early episodes are recorded in a car, so the audio quality is not great, but it is like taking a road trip with your hick friends from high school for me. So I quite like it, and I would suggest giving it a spot, especially if you don't believe anyone that sounds like that can have those opinions. And especially if you're from the South or something that's ostensibly the South and needs sort of a refresher. Like a breath of fresh air in regards to, how someone can sound and the ideas behind that. And it's good to have a reminder of that for me every week. So
let's hope that the 2018 Jeff Foxworthy bit now is, you might have gone to Oxford if.
He's going to change his entire show.
Just the whole thing.
I mean, we all know that the Hollywood...
Rednecks are over.
Yeah. We all know that all the rich and famous people secretly listen to RPPR.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, you're welcome, Jeff.
My next shout out is for Urban Shadows, which is a Powered by the Apocalypse urban fantasy / horror game. Sean... for RPPR ran a one-shot of it recently. Had a lot of fun with it. Character playbooks. They have playbooks instead of classes for this system of games. Include like the vampire, werewolf. I played a ghost. And it was a lot of fun because they have a lot of interest on like old sort of. There's a great emphasis on debts. Like you can call in debts, or you owe people debts. So
cool.
Those are great plot hooks. There's also a corruption mechanic. When you use or do certain things, you gain corruption points. And when you get corruption points, you gain corruption moves, which are very powerful. But if you totally fill up on all your corruption, your character, you lose your character as they, go to the dark side, essentially. So it's a real fun game. It's basically World of Darkness, but in a good system. And none of the baggage of World of Darkness. It's just, if you wanted that genre, if you want to do Neil Gaiman, but, without 50 books like World of Darkness.
Right.
Ain't good.
Like markedly less sexual assault.
Yeah.
Hopefully down to 0. I've not read it yet, but I imagine.
Yeah, well, it's I haven't read all of it either, but in the game that I played, it was fine.
Yep.
So, Spencer, another shout out.
Yeah, Riverdale is back, and if you've not wasted time,
Riverdale is back.
Riverdale. Sunday.
If you've not wasted your time or brain on Riverdale yet, fix it. First season is on Netflix. Second season started last week.
Justice for Daddy Blossom.
That's right. And the season premiere for season 2 was fucking phenomenal. Saw that
Don't
coming.
you spoil it for me.
I'm not going to say a word.
Don't you dare.
But just know this. It was great. So in that vein, shout out to Noah Carden and Kyle Cardy of Maple Syrup Blood Money for running
the original Riverdale.
the original
Yeah.
Riverdale. Are
I
you
assume
hearing
so. AV
everyone
Club.
else?
Get off their dick, AV
Well,
Club.
AV Club has their own podcast.
No, I
Nice
know.
in style.
Yeah.
So Riverdale season 2 is back, and I'm going to stop talking about it because I'll gush and then I'll spoil and then I'll gush some more. I might even
listen
cry.
to the podcast.
And it's spinning off now.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Sabrina Teenage Witch is coming back.
Oh man,
coming back.
Darker and grittier than ever.
Yep.
Oh, you mean the
There's
show
a
is new, but
yeah, right.
Yeah.
In the Riverdale style.
In the Riverdale verse, the Riververse, or
Reverse.
Reverse. Oh, there you go.
Nailed it.
Caleb.
Didn't Clarissa play Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
Yeah,
for a
Melissa
while?
Joan Hart.
Yeah, Melissa Joan
No,
Hart.
not for a little while, for all of the while.
Yeah, it
That was her
on for
career.
a disturbing amount of time.
Yeah, and that black cat puppet.
The paranormal crossover was supernatural crossover was weird. It was
it
a
one?
strange episode.
I would believe you if there was one.
Damn it! I should have totally just committed.
Yeah.
Done fooled Ross. All right. I know there's fan fiction for it, just because it's a thing that someone could possibly think.
Well,
of.
anything tangentially connected to the supernatural fandom has fan
It's
fiction.
there.
Yeah.
Anyways, Caleb, you had another shout out.
Oh, I've played a new game called Ruiner. It is a 3/4 perspective, isometric. Well, not isometric in that you can't see the little hexagons, but top-down perspective, kind of a bullet hell set in the grimmest cyberpunk universe ever. Basically, the cyberpunk universe of Devolver Digital Studios. So it's basically, what if Hotline Miami was set in 2200 or something? You play a guy in a biker jacket with a helmet full of LEDs that cannot speak and who communicates solely through meme pictures that flash over his face, which has led me down a fruitless path of trying to make that as cosplay. And
You can't, just not that high res.
yeah, well, then I don't want to do it.
Right.
And then B made it a game that I'm really pretty obsessed with. It is super hard. It's not Cuphead hard, but it is difficult, and it is wild and a lot of fun. Zipping around the screen, bashing in the heads of, cyber Yakuza bodyguards with a pipe while shooting a machine gun with the other hand. It's pretty wild. You can pull out some crazy stuff. The best part I like about it is that it has an upgrade tree, which can be respect constantly between fights.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
So you can instantly pause and respec your tree, and that's often required to win. You've got too many points in this one thing, you need to put it in this
that's
other
awesome.
thing. So it's really
You need
interesting.
more of the I win this fight tree.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's pretty grim. It's pretty narratively spare. So I don't think it's gotten, and it is quite difficult at points. So I don't think it's gotten very great reviews. But I mean, for $20, it's a pretty great game, and I've gotten a lot of play out of it. And it just looks cool if you ever want to, get inspiration for a cyberpunk kind of setting.
Nice. So I have another game, The Sprawl. which is another Powered by the Apocalypse game that genre in. It's a cyberpunk game, though. He's run two
Play
sessions.
Ruiner first.
This is a tabletop RPG. I mean, it's not.
Do mine first.
Okay,
I said it first.
I will play it.
I heard it came
I
out
put it
first.
on my Steam wish list.
Hey, you're outvoted.
Impartial thought.
Podcast law says that
Oh,
you
I
have to
see.
play mine first.
You signed the contract.
Yeah.
So in the Sprawl, you can be, a cyborg killer, a hacker, a vehicle expert, not just a driver, but someone with drones and stuff like that. And it's got this sort of inbuilt clock where you do certain actions, the clock goes up, and when the clock hits, midnight, bad things happen. You pissed off the mega corporation, so like it's sort of an inbuilt tension creator. So it's you can't just fuck up forever, because I mean that's very in line with cyberpunk. So and
Also, go see the new Blade Runner.
Oh, yeah.
God, it's good.
yeah, and it's
Damn,
not doing
it's-
well at
seen
the
it.
box
Haven't
office.
seen
Damn,
it.
it's good.
Ruin it for me. I'll ruin Riverdale for you.
I have not. I said it's good. That's all I said.
Okay.
Just
and
go see it.
Yeah, see it before it disappears.
I was skeptical. I understand being skeptical.
It's very
of
pretty
it,
too,
but go see it.
Yeah, and it does not feel like 3 hours. It does go by pretty quickly. So yeah, the Sprawl. Spencer, you had another one?
Yeah, last shout out for me. So this one should probably honestly be on the Mix 6 and whatever else we ever do in the history of the future. But Daniel Stewart of Tabletop Tapes. Daniel takes time every week to shout out to every podcast that he likes and
is
is
such a
listening
cool
to.
thing,
Yeah. And not like a Follow Friday, here's a bunch of handles, but specific notes to each of them about the things that he really likes about what they're doing, or snippets that he's pulled out of those things that
It's
he
like
thought.
a handwritten Follow Friday.
It really
Yeah.
is.
It's like if someone lovingly calligraphied at,
Yeah.
and then the hand.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's fucking crazy,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. And sometimes I feel like the amount of time we put into show prep does not equal the amount of time he takes to find one thing he liked about the
I feel
thing
like
that we
most
said.
of the time.
Right,
Yeah.
and so it makes me question my commitment to my craft. But it's kind of like this really beautiful commitment to and tribute to things that he really likes, and I think that the world would be a better place if we were all people like that. And so shout out to Daniel Stewart of Tabletop Tapes for putting in the time.
I would second that. I just had one more, and that's a quick book. 25 MST3K movies that changed my life in no way whatsoever, by Frank Conniff, i.e. TV's Frank from the original MST3K. Basically, it's a short book. It's about him talking about how I was terrible at carpentry and things, so I couldn't build sets. So they had me pick the movies. So I had to watch bad movies all day. And so he talks about some movies that made it to MST3K, some that didn't, and he gives a little commentary about them. And there are a lot of very snarky jokes. I mean, he's a very comedic writer, and it's just a quick short read. I actually got to
super cool.
meet him in person. He came down to Springfield to do an MST3K live, where they did he and Trace Ballou, Dr. Forrester, did Glenn or Glenda live.
Oh, cool.
And it was a lot of fun. So yeah, if you like MST3K, the book's on Amazon.
I've never seen the old MST3K because I watched them on Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
And we got it in fuzzy like porn, so
Oh,
I just
yeah.
watch it fuzzy to hear the jokes. Because the alternative was the Lawrence Welk show. So I would just stare at a staticky screen and listen to MS3K and kind
Holy
of imagine
shit.
the terrible movie
Wow,
that occurred afterwards.
man.
Sorry, that's the saddest thing I could have possibly said.
Well,
So, moving on.
it's character building. I have. Do you want them? I have DVDs of the
Kind of no.
Yeah.
Kind of no. I think
They're better in your
I
mind.
think I earned the way I saw them.
All right. If there's no more shout outs, we have anecdotes. And Caleb and I have been running red markets for each other and groups. And there's
Get a
some,
dice generator. D10 suck. Yeah. They're just bad. There's bad dice.
yeah, I don't know where. There's so
It
many.
looks good on paper and it works on paper, but goddamn, those little bastards just they're against you.
Yeah, the first game I ran for your group, ZX, because they have a UPS truck that they made into their, so it's a joke,
Right.
Not FedEx.
Yeah.
Hey, it's good marketing.
It's good. It's great marketing.
Yeah.
Better than the B team, which is what my group is called, because all the characters' names start.
I
with
don't
B.
think I've had a negotiation yet where I haven't mentioned how bad you guys are.
But
You basically turned yourself in the computer guy, and I'm Justin Long now,
Yeah.
which is, okay with that. Marketing.
Yeah, but I mean, your crit. Yeah, you rolled like 8 crit fails in the first scenario, I think.
Oh yeah, it's not because we're actually better.
Yeah.
It's just a good narrative. So I did roll actually 9 crit failures in a single game. Remarkably, none of them were in mortal danger, or that character would be no more. So I think the real note here is that I survived it.
Yeah.
So it did get to the point where our quarry was on an elevator that was stuck in a shaft, and we were all suspended above it. It had broken and snapped its legs, and was just sort of being a zombie writhing around on there. And I could get bonuses for the kill if it was like cool and humiliating, because it was a revenge job against the zombie. I had like a will left. I had scored at this point 7 critical failures. So I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot. And so I had a sword. I had not really contributed to anything in the job. And I'm like, well, I'm going to jump down with the camera on and look really cool as I behead it. So I crit failed and broke both my legs landing on of the elevator. So we were both crippled, and now the zombie was coming towards me. So then I rolled to attack the zombie, at which point I crit failed, and my sword got stuck, and I could not do anything. So at this point, it was just over. Thankfully, one of my teammates just shot the damn thing out of pity. And we did actually get the bonus because it was very funny about how terrible I was at my job, and it ended up going viral. So yeah, that's my game of Red Mark. It's the first game of the new campaign. My character crit failed 9 times in a game that I designed, which is a special level of humiliation. When you fail at a 500-page book that you yourself have written, I've achieved new levels. I've seen scenic new vistas of embarrassment.
To be fair, it's not like my character hasn't been suffering either. I know in the second session, you had my character put in prison while the others had to go and get evidence to free me from execution.
To be clear, you chose that job.
I was outvoted, but yeah.
That's usually how going into prison works.
Yeah,
is sort of being outside of prison has been outvoted.
Yeah,
but just
roughly
having
by 12 people.
Tom, Aaron, and David having to be the ones to try and figure out a plan.
That was pretty hilarious.
That was like, oh god,
they are not good at that.
It was. I feel your pain. It was not a crit dice failure, but
I think Aaron got stabbed like 9 times.
He did get stabbed quite a few times because he went off on his own wearing the body armor of a dead man in that dead man's neighborhood and then asking his widow questions. And of course, Aaron was the one of the people who killed that guy. So, like, they understandably were upset with him, which he did not think about. So, those are some of the things to look forward to when we get to the what was it? Deception Pass. Deception Pass. The campaign that's coming to you at some point in the future. So that's been RPPR episode 147. Spencer, you're the guest. Any final thoughts? Or
no, thanks for having me. It was like super cool to get to talk to all of these people who have been like a part of this community much longer than I have. So, thanks for everything that you guys do. And whatever part of you we got to migrate over to the Mix 6, thanks so much. And whatever part we didn't, I totally get it. We're not that important or popular either, because we're not very cool. So just thanks for everything that you do. It's been a lot of fun being on. I hope I'm on later and talking about like more successful things that we've done in role playing.
Yeah, we'll do game design workshops with Party Foul and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. So no, this has been awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you guys next time.